this debt ceiling deal isn't a done deal until it gets through the Senate, lands on the president's desk, and he signs it. So all the uncertainty about this whole process and worries about a possible default can have consequences on our economy. To discuss what those impacts are, we have Justin Wolfers joining us now live. He's a professor of public policy and economics at the University of Michigan. Professor, thank you so much for your time today. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has been attempting to fast track this bill through the Senate. And there are senators that have serious objections to parts of it, as did some members of the House, like we just saw. I want you to go ahead and take a listen right here to what Representative Pramila Jayapal had to say before that bill passed in the House.
It is my belief that it is important for us to have a very strong no vote for the president, for Democrats, for our party across the country that is watching this and saying, why are you kicking women over 49 years old to 54 off of food stamps and increasing the Pentagon budget and telling us that that's about fiscal responsibility? It's not.
So still, not all lawmakers are happy with this bill. Do they have time to negotiate further? And what impact will we see if it's held up in the Senate?
The process is designed really to make sure that the train's left the station and it's just going to keep on chuffing along until we get this thing passed. And so realistically, we're seeing both the left and the right-wing Republicans, the left wing of the Democrats, arguing against this bill. But realistically, the alternative is no bill, which is a default, and the possibility of a ruinous recession that would follow. So that's the reason everyone feels so confident this thing's going to keep going. It's not just the process, it's the absence of a better option here.
So let's talk about what would happen if the U.S. defaulted on its debt and what we would see in the markets. I mean, how has Wall Street been reacting to the news so far? And what are the fears? I mean, in terms of how this bill could impact, not just Wall Street, but also Main Street.
Right. So we haven't seen a big response on Wall Street, and there's a very simple reason for that, which is that Wall Street was much more confident than most Washington commentators that a debt ceiling bill was going to be signed. And at this point, it looks like Wall Street's right. And so when something happens that you always expected would happen, you don't need to reassess your view about the economy very much. And so that's why the response on Wall Street has been relatively muted. The other side of this is there are two really important things to think about here. The first is the real news, to the extent that there is some here, is not particularly good or bad news about the economy. It's that we have eliminated the relatively small but still important possibility of a genuinely bad outcome. It's a funny kind of good news to celebrate. Thank goodness something horrible didn't happen. And this budget deal, unlike many of the past budget deals, is actually quite small in magnitude. Realize that Republicans took all of taxes off the table. That left just spending. Well, within spending, they basically took all of mandatory spending off the table. That's 2/3 of the federal budget. Within the remaining 1/3, there's the military, and Republicans took the military off the table. So that leaves 1/6 of the federal budget over which they were negotiating. And the final deal is one in which they're going to fix spending for that 1/6 of the budget for a mere 2 years. All of that adds up to a number that when you write it down has a lot of zeros after it, but then you realize the US economy is enormous. And so it's still very small compared to the size of the economy. And so folks on Wall Street are anticipating that this might slow growth by maybe 0.1 or 0.2 percentage points. But it's really, in macroeconomic terms, a pretty small deal.
And I want to go ahead and stay with that thought quickly because, corporate America seems as though they've been responding with layoffs. And I don't know if that is in regards to what we're seeing right now, the debt ceiling, or is it because of the Fed continuing to hike interest rates? But if the U.S. defaults, what will we see in terms of layoffs? What does that do to the workforce?
Veronica, let me do what an economics professor would always do, which is stop you on the premise. He said corporate America has been all about layoffs. That's not quite right. Headlines have been all about layoffs, and that's because there are some small sectors of the economy, and they're the sectors that happen to have a lot of journalists covering them. Sectors like tech and in some parts of finance, where there have been a relatively small number of layoffs relative to the fact this is an economy with over 100 million workers. In fact, if you look at the number of people losing their jobs each week, we can look at the number of people filing for unemployment, for instance. It's at levels that are really rather low. The unemployment rate right now is at a 50-year low. Employment growth continues at rates that just a few years ago we would have regarded as being remarkably strong. So we have this strange sort of economy right now where a lot of news reports, the general vibe is that things aren't going well. But the reality, when we look at our economic statistics, is there's not a lot of layoffs going on, not an unusually high number, and actually a large number of people are looking around and finding better sources of work.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I know that like, to your point, unemployment is 3.4%, which we haven't seen for more than 50 years. And every single time there's an economic print, it's strong. So it is quite strange that for the past 2 years as a journalist, I've been saying that there is this impending recession coming, which I don't know if we're in or if we have yet to see. So it has been confusing. What we do know is that if the U.S. defaults on its debt, it could be catastrophic. So let's say that the bill lands on the president's desk on June 5th, like it's supposed to. What are the positive effects that we will see immediately come from this bill's passage?
The positive effect is mainly going to be a big sigh of relief. The possibility to stab ourselves in the back, which is a really difficult thing to do, is something that Congress will have chosen not to do. If we celebrate that, let's celebrate. But the most important thing is, on Wall Street, which is where we would have seen the first implications, they're going to breathe a big sigh of relief. In turn, that means that interest rates are not going to immediately spike. And in turn, the possibility of financial market disruption, of markets freezing up like they did in 2008, 2009, is largely off the table. So all of that means, let's come back to your other point, your broader point, which is for a year and a half, people have been saying a recession is just around the corner. I've been a pretty lonely voice saying, no, it's not. We're not in a recession. And it's been pretty easy to see why, because the numbers, which don't lie, keep telling us that things are actually going okay. So I was very optimistic, except for the possibility that this might knock us off. That possibility's gone. And so I think you can feel even more confident on June 5th than you were at the end of May that we're not currently in a recession and we don't see one starting anytime soon.
Well, Justin, the definition of a recession is 2 quarters of economic contraction, which we have yet to see. We haven't seen 1 quarter yet. And the Dow right now is up about 250 points. The S&P and the NASDAQ have jumped about 1%. And the bill has only cleared the House. So hopefully we'll have some good news come Monday. Justin Wolfers is a professor of public policy and economics from the University of Michigan. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it.